why has position 4 Chen virtually disappeared from the pro scene. Here we're going to look at the game of Puppey playing position 4 Chen, and we're going to talk about why position 4 Chen might now be making a comeback.
My holiness deepens.
Welcome to the Church of Obelisk. For the longest time, Chen has been played primarily as position 4 hero. You basically set in the jungle, you farm some jungle camps, and then you occasionally popped out of the jungle to try to get a kill or two. And then came the era where you played Chen as a position 4 in the offlane. You were primarily laning. There was the stage where jungle camps were really nerfed in terms of farm. So it said you laned as Chen, but you were still position 4. And then in the second half of 2018, Chen transitioned from position 4 to position 5. So for example, you can look at TI8, and there you'll see Chen being played both the 4 and the 5. Is more like a player and team preference. And then came patch 720, and position 4 Chen basically disappeared. 720 was the patch where Chen received the new ability that allows him to buff up one of his teammates, and also in this patch they removed the ability to take high level creeps at the start and introduced this level system where you can only take certain levels of creeps at the start, and all of this made Chen more suited as position 5. This is because you could no longer play as aggressively. Now it was more about sustaining in lane and trying to out-trade the enemy. Whereas previously, if you had a strong lane, you could have a strong kill lane with a hero like Sand King, for example, and just really punish the enemy safe lane. But that was no longer possible because you could only take these relatively weak creeps. And if you had like a Harpy or something, you could still maybe get a kill, but for the most part, it was just about sustaining and trying to win in the long term. And that was more suited to position 5. And now with 2 more reworks to Divine Favor, it's now an aura that allows you to have a lot of sustain, and now you have extra damage on your holophosation creeps. But Chen is still primarily played as position 5. Then recently, some players, most notably 33, have experimented with position 3 Chen, and this has seen some success, but for the most part Chen is still a 5. But nowadays we see at least a little bit of interest in experimenting with position 4 Chen, so we're going to see how Chen does in this game when he's played by Puppey. So far nothing much has happened in the laning stage. We just saw some pretty good trading. Puppey has got one of these center courses for lack of any good creeps to take, and with this lane, with Puck and Chen, you don't have the most kill potential, but you have a lot of trading potential. Puck has very good base damage, Chen has decent base damage, and with all the healing that Chen provides, you just have a lot more sustain here. Because you have the Divine Favor aura, and you have the Headrest, which is the standard Chen build, regardless of which position you play Chen in. So this means that now you just can outtrade the enemy. And that's exactly what they're doing. They also got 1 career kill, which of course is nice, but for the most part it's just about hitting the enemy and just trading your HP for theirs, and you just have much more regen. Like this line has 3.4 regen, whereas this Chen has 7.7. You just have double the regen that the enemy have. Now we see Puck being gone on, but Puck can turn around and get out here with heating up with herself, and Lion is forced to pop a Fairy Fire to survive. And you can see this Chaos Knight has 2 levels in Chaos Strike, but still he can't really outtrade them. So what's the idea with position 4 Chen? Basically, position 4 Chen can be played as something like a 3.5 or a 4.5. 4.5 would be just like you play very similar to position 5 Chen, you go for a mech, whereas position 3.5 would be you go for Helmet Dominator, which is what Puppey is going to do in this game. Helmet Dominator is an item that's really, really strong if you get it early, and so if you can get it at like 8 minutes, that is a really, really good timing for position 4 Chen. If you can get it at 10 minutes, it's still okay, If it's later than that, I think probably don't bother with Dominator. In that case, you should probably just switch into Mech, which of course that's the advantage of going for this headless build, is that you can still decide based on how the game is going whether you can go for this more greedy version of Dominator, which is good if you have this early timing, or if you have to go for the more conservative Mech and be more of a support. You see here a fight over the runes, and the creeps helping out here are going to block in this lion and secure a kill on this lion, and it's actually shared bounty, was killed by the lane creeps, but this Chaos Knight thinks he can actually trade here with the Chaos Strike, but he can't, and so there's a double kill for this lane. Actually neither of them got any of those kills, but they should share the XP and the gold, which is excellent. And now we can see Puppey trying to lure away the creeps. Didn't quite work because of the fog, but still that's a lot of damage being done onto this tower with a siege creep. And Puppey now has got this Harpy Stormcraft, which was an excellent creep, gives you a lot of nuke damage, as well as also providing full night vision. You can see how far you can see in this night, and that's why this is one of the strongest creeps in basically the first 10 minutes of the game. Tower is almost down, so you want to keep this catapult alive, and they dive in with their pop here. And this lion, they just have to read. There's no way you can fight against this Harpy and this Puck. Lion tries to TP out, but it's not enough. Too much damage here, and Chaos Knight has to leave. So this is a completely one lane now, and they didn't really have to do very much to win this lane. A lot of it is just comes down to the fact that Puck is just a really strong hero, but an important factor also was just all the healing that Chen provides, and just the superior trading you get with the help of some of these creeps. So right now they're going this Chaos Knight. Chaos Knight is really underleveled, so this is an easy kill for them. And he's trying to leech himself up here with those Chaos Strike hits, but it's just not enough. And once you've won a lane like this and you still have the catapults, it's often just best to keep pushing. And for that end they take a melee creep here, but with this glyph here it doesn't work out and this catapult gets killed, so they have to retreat. And right now probably just sacrifices this one creep because it doesn't want it. It's good for pushing towers, but other than that these melee creeps just don't do very much. He has here a much better creep here, which you can see thanks to the Harpy, and that's of course the Ogre Frost Mage, which is more of a late game creep, but at this stage of the game is also quite good. And what he's going to do here is going to buff this Dragon Knight. Now he has this Ice Armor, which even works on the tower. Tower still gets slowed down here. And of course this allows this Dragon Knight to much more easily push down this tower. And meanwhile Puppey just clears up this camp, and now he's going to help out with this tower push. And he goes here, sees with the night vision, sees this lion. Lion doesn't see that Chen is here. And now he's going to recall a Puck. Puck is just in the fountain, and they're going to go here for this kill on this lion. Really beautiful setup by Puppey, and this is an easy kill, and this is going to give them this tower in the middle, which of course is a very important tower. And now Puppey has his Dominator finished, which is going to use to take over the Dark Summoner. This is a level 6 creep, would usually require a level 4 in Holy Persuasion, so if you don't go Dominant, you just can't have this kind of creep at this stage of the game. So now they can go on this lion. Lion tries to hide in the tower, but with this call coming out from Puck, they can't escape. And then this is a double kill. Of course, they're also setting up for this tower push with all those creeps. And let's look at how much damage this actually adds into this push. Also very important to use those skeletons. The skeletons have a lot of damage. They have 24 damage each and a 1 second base attack time. But now Puppey sort of asserting his dominance. He can just chase out this Mirana. He's going to do this camp, and very importantly it puts this Harpy Stormcrafter up on the high ground, giving him all the vision he needs. If anyone approaches here, unless they're smoked, they're not going to get Puppey. Now Puppey wants to help out this Drow Ranger, but he's sort of behind enemy lines, and this is not what he's doing here. And Drow escapes, but at the same time Puppey gets caught out, and yes, Drow gets the kill here, but this is not a good trade. Once you have the Dominator as Chen, the next item we're going to get is Mech as position 4 Chen. you definitely do want to get this mech. It's a great item, of course, on Chen because it synergizes with your aura, and it's just a very strong item. You can get it early, and if you have this excellent Dominator timing, you can also get a decent mech timing. Of course, Dominator is an item that really helps you to farm. It allows you to take over these big creeps a little bit earlier, and now you can help out in this fight and not quite save this Drow Ranger, but you can sort of force the enemy out, and even though they have a severe numbers disadvantage, these creeps make up for it, and even do get at least one consolation kill. But the thing is, Dominator is not as good of a fighting item as mech. If you had a mech here, you could probably have saved the Drow Ranger. But of course, mech is an item that doesn't scale very well. So if you're having a good game, if you can get this Dominator early, go for this position 4 Chen. Otherwise, just go for the mech. And right now, he wants to help his team. They're going on this Brewmaster. Brewmaster doesn't have ultimate, and he's getting killed here. And you can see right now it's a 6k lead for this Radiant team. So they can just afford to play really aggressively with this catapult wave and maybe take this tower. And of course, this Dominated Centaur is very fast, so it can help in catching up to enemies. But now you see the glyph being used, and Puppey very smartly puts his creeps a bit back, so don't take too much damage from these tower shots. Puppey's team have a big advantage here, so they feel like they can just go for this Roshan. And of course, Roshan with all those creeps goes really, really fast. The problem is just, if you're in the pit with everyone and you don't have any vision of what's going on here, this can happen. So everything gets killed here, Puppey dies, Dragon Knight is really low, and Shakiro is not doing too hard either. So that is 4 kills, and this Shakiro is also not looking good. Puppey tries to help him out with the Centaur Conqueror, but all he does is feed a couple of gold. And yeah, this is a complete disaster. They completely lose out on this Roshan, and now Roshan is fairly low, and they kind of have to contest it, but it's kind of difficult because they're sort of respawning one by one. So Puck is going to teleport in here, and he immediately gets caught, gets stun locked, and that is a kill. So what does Puppey do? Puppey just goes to the bottom lane. He says, okay, we can't contest this Roshan anymore. So rather than just teleporting here and feeding again, he's just going to go and take some creeps in the bottom lane here and try to put some pressure on this bottom tower. Minute 15 is coming up, and the Puppey has seen a bunch of heroes elsewhere on the map. So he feels it's safe to actually go for this rune, and they'll take the shrine. And he's also smartly just scouting a bit with his creeps here around him. You could also move that gold foreman down here. But now he has the outpost, and it took the 2 runes at bottom. Also taking over this Hellblade Smasher with the Dominator, and this Potato with the regular Persuasion. This of course is the better choice, because now you have this extra movement speed on Hellblade Smasher, which allows it to much more easily get in position to land those thunderclaps. Despite being on the Aegis, Puppey's team is still very strong, so they go here for a Brewmaster, who's silenced and can't really fight back, so he goes in with all his creeps and kills that guy quickly. And now they're up against Kunkka, so we have to be very careful with the creeps. You don't want to have them just die to Kunkka's splash. And now when Kunkka tries to attack, he pulls the creeps back, has them here in the back, and now that Kunkka is respawning, they try to play very carefully with his creeps, not committing them. I'm going to try to help out here with the Hellblade Smasher, but now the Dragon is dead and Brewmaster has bought back. Puppey just retreats. And it's very important that you don't just sacrifice all your creeps and sacrifice your life trying to turn this unwinnable fight. You just have to know when to cut your losses, and it's definitely one such time. And now he's going to deliver himself a pair of boots and a clarity. Boots, of course, is an important item, but you don't need to go for it early. And after this Dominator and Mac, he goes for the boots, as well as also giving himself a clarity, because this is a very mana-intensive build that you have, despite not putting any points in the penitence to save mana. Still, when you have this Mac and you don't have mana boots yet, you're gonna need to ferry yourself a couple of clarities occasionally. And watch the way Puppey plays around with vision. He's just seen some heroes at bottom and this lion here. Now he sees Kunkka, and so now he knows it's safe to actually show himself in lane. Before that he only had 2 creeps in this lane. Now he's showing himself with this hero because he's seen 3 heroes elsewhere. And he still sees that Kunkka is farming, Kunkka is going to the left. He also briefly saw this Chaos Knight going towards the middle, so now he knows it's safe to take over this outpost again. It's very important to just play around with vision like that, and if you're not sure where the enemy is, don't show alone like that. Still sees lots of heroes elsewhere on the map, so he can push out this lane as well, and it's very important to know when you can do these plays and when you have to sit back. Especially if you're playing position 4 Chen, you want to do a bit more farming than as a 5, and knowing when you can farm and when you can't is very important. Fight breaks out in the middle here, a bit of an overextension here from the Radiant, and so Puppey is gonna come in here with his creeps from the back, and they're gonna clean everything up. He should have taken this Wolf here. Actually has a creep slot here available. This is now time to go high ground. There's 3 heroes dead, and most importantly, Kunkka is dead for 25 seconds yet. And Kunkka is the primary source of AoE. You can easily go up with you with your creep as long as Kunkka is not there. You don't have that much AoE. So you can easily hit this tower and take out this tower. And now he's gonna just hit this melee Rex. You don't want to chase for this lion. This lion is gonna die anyway. Your creeps are best used just to hit this Rex. And they go on Puppey here. They try to contest these creeps, but they just can't without Kunkka. Kunkka is only now respawned, and so they just retreat. They took this Rax at 19 minutes, and all they paid for it was a couple of creeps. And at 19 minutes, with a 4k gold lead, being up a Rax, this is a pretty easy game to win, and indeed they just right at this victory. Nothing really spectacular happens in this game, and from here on out it's quite easy. So why is position 4 Chen good now? Basically it's a sort of intermediate stage between position 3 and position 5, and we've seen how potent position 3 Chen can be. I've done a couple of videos on that on this channel if you want to check those out. And the idea here is that you just go for this Dominator, which is just a really good item. It allows you to farm really well, and then you can transition into more traditional support items like a mech, and just have a lot better farm than you would have on a position 5 Chen. But sometimes in position 4 you just don't get these good stats. Sometimes you just maybe die a couple times in lane and you just can't get this early Dominator. And this is where the changes to headdress come in 723. You can always just start with the headdress. It's the perfect starting item. It only costs 450 gold. Previously you started with the headdress on position 3 Chen, but it also meant you couldn't buy tangos at the stars and you were a bit scrimped for region. Now you don't have to make the sacrifice anymore. You can still get a set of tangos and a branch even if you start with the headdress, which now means that headdress is just a starting item that you just always go for no matter what position you play on Chen pretty much. And this gives you flexibility of either going for mech or going for dominator depending on how well the game goes. There are of course still some drawbacks to position 4 Chen. Chen is not an initiator, so if you're playing with position 4 you kind of have to have a position 3 who can initiate. Here in this game they have Puck who can do this job reasonably well, and they also have a Dragon Knight who went for a Blink Dagger as his first major item, who can also of course initiate really well. So initiation part is covered in this game. And then another limitation of Chen's position 4 is that you don't have a lot of kill potential in lane. It's more about sustain and out-trading the enemy. But this is why they have a Puck here. Puck is a really strong lane together with Chen. He's also another hero that can't really kill very good at the start, but he has a lot of damage, he can out-trade the enemy, and together with Chen he can just almost always win the war of attrition. I don't think position 3 Chen and especially position 5 Chen are going anywhere, but in the future maybe we're going to see some more people experiment with position 4 Chen in the competitive scene, and of course this would make Chen just a much stronger pick, as then you can no longer tell which position he's going to be played in. He can be played in 3 different positions, which of course is always hugely important for Captain's Mode games. If you want to see more Chen content, I invite you to join the fold and subscribe and ring the bell button. And before you go, please check out this video I've made on creeps and how to use all the creeps in 723 to their full potential. And Obelisk willing, I'll see you there.